What it do, peeps? Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave.
Sheryl Swoopes really missed the mark this time. With a bold stance and a voice full of certainty, she boldly claimed that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were doomed to fail in attracting top-tier free agents. But fast forward, and the Fever just pulled off one of the most impressive free agency hauls the league has ever seen. As for Sheryl, well, she's now the human equivalent of a malfunctioning Magic 8 ball, constantly wrong every step of the way.
People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some
So
new shit
that-
going on
it's a lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Let's hit rewind for a second. Sheryl Swoopes, Hall of Famer, basketball icon, no doubt. But these days, she's clocking in full-time as a professional skeptic, putting in some serious overtime. With all her experience, she boldly declared that the Fever would never land elite players because of supposed locker room drama. And yet, here we are. Contracts signed, deals sealed, and Indiana just built a powerhouse. Meanwhile, Sheryl's left watching from the sidelines, looking a little foolish, probably brainstorming her next questionable hot take.
Stephanie White came in and said, okay, hold up. Let me go to Indeed.com and Indeed get some free agents to come in here that want to play, that are accomplished, seasoned veterans. She did all that. Sheryl's been nowhere to been found. Sheryl got a lot of crow to eat, folks. Sheryl could be choking on crow right now. She need that Heimlich maneuver. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, tell her it's okay to come out and talk and say, man, you was wrong. It's okay.
I can picture Sheryl scrolling through her phone like, no way these players picked Indiana. But surprise, Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, and even Asia Wilson's best friend, Sydney Colson, are all in the Fever. They didn't just win free agency, they absolutely cooked it. And when Colson was asked why she signed with Indiana, let's roll the footage.
Yeah, I talked to Sydney Colson today about her signing with Indiana. She said that Kelsey Mitchell was actually the first person she hit up because they built a bond here, playing AU for the last 3 years. She said she heard some good things about Caitlin Clark from her Aces teammate Kate Martin as well, so that made the decision easy.
Exactly. She was drawn to playing alongside Kelsey Mitchell, a longtime friend, and the rising star, Caitlin Clark. These were the very two players Sheryl Swoopes wrote off just months ago. And here's the kicker. This is the same Sheryl who said Caitlin Clark would need years to get used to the WNBA. Years? Seriously? Clark's out here casually dropping 40 points like it's nothing, while Swoopes' predictions are aging about as well as spoiled milk.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
I can't. Bro, Sheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin is dominant.
At this point, it feels like hating on Caitlin Clark has become Sheryl Swoopes' personal Olympic event, and she's snagging gold. Actually, she's probably sweeping the entire podium, gold, silver, and bronze, looking all kinds of salty while the anthem plays. Oh, Caitlin won't make the leap to the WNBA. Well, someone should let Indiana know, because they're out here stacking elite talent like they're building an all-star team. Caitlin Clark isn't just finding her footing, she's dominating, and the Fever are right there with her. Maybe it's time for Sheryl Swoopes to take a back seat, because Indiana just gave her a reality check.
No, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Let's not fool ourselves. The real reason some of these WNBA vets and self-proclaimed legends can't stand Caitlin Clark is because she didn't play by their rules. She didn't wait her turn or ask for permission to stand out. Nah, she waltzed in, shattered 62 records in her rookie season, embraced the fans, and took the sport to new global heights. And, oh, does that sting for them? You bet it does.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
Caitlin Clark didn't need anyone's approval to claim her spot as the face of women's basketball. She's got more global recognition than half the league combined, and that's not by accident. That's the power of being a generational talent. Sheryl Swoopes, Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and the rest of the Caitlin haters are just going to have to live with it. While they're busy throwing shade, Caitlin is out here racking up accolades, selling out arenas, and making the Indiana Fever the hottest ticket in town. And let's take a moment to appreciate this. The Indiana Fever, the team once overlooked by everyone, are now the center of the basketball world. The former league underdog is now the squad every player wants to join. Now that's what you call shifting the entire landscape.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
So, Sheryl, what happened to that claim about players not wanting to go to Indiana? Who exactly were you talking to? The ghosts of teams long gone? Because real, relevant players are lining up to join the Fever like it's the VIP section of an exclusive club. Did she honestly think Caitlin Clark would have to beg anyone to team up with her? Let's be real here.
Went even further when a game that Sheryl Swoopes was calling for the Dallas Wings, where the commentator was talking about how great Caitlin Clark had been playing. Sheryl Swoopes, silent for 60 seconds, didn't even want to address it. And it got so bad that the game that Dallas then went to play against the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark after the domination of the Chicago Sky, Sheryl Swoopes got pulled from the broadcast.
Someone better check on Sheryl because she's clearly stuck in 2002 when the Fever were stumbling through mediocrity like it was some kind of team-building drill. Sis, things have shifted. This isn't Tamika Catchings trying to lift a squad of part-time gym teachers. The Indiana Fever are stacked now. Natasha Howard, a champion, defensive powerhouse, and certified scorer. Here's what she had to say when she signed on with the team.
It's going to be Caitlin Clark Flash Show, So it's going to be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision on the court. Because that's like as soon as she get the ball in her hand, she's throwing it up because she already see the person down the court before she even get the ball in her hand. So that's one thing I love about her vision on the court. I really can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the assists that she needs.
DeWanna Bonner, standing tall at 6 feet 4 inches, a walking mismatch, an elite scorer, and a key player in the WNBA's top tier. And guess what? She just fired back at all the Fever doubters on Twitter. Then there's Sophie Cunningham, bringing the heat, the confidence, and enough smack talk to shake any arena. So, who did she want to team up with?
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day, for real.
And Sydney Colson, whether she's logging major minutes or not, is about to transform the Fever locker room into the most fun, high-energy space the team has ever seen. The chemistry? Off the charts. Do we sense a trend here? They all chose Indiana. They all decided to play with the core group of Caitlin, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. So while Sheryl Swoopes is busy crafting her next misguided hot take, The Fever are out here building a dynasty. Maybe it's time someone hands Sheryl a pair of glasses because she might be talking about the wrong team. Could she be referring to the Las Vegas Aces, the Chicago Sky, or the Connecticut Sun, all of which seem to be falling apart? The Fever are here, and they're not just showing up, they're taking over.
You know that I'm very excited, and I really agree with a lot of the moves the Indiana Fever have made. There's not been one trade or pickup that the Indiana Fever have made that I have not been on board with. I'm on board with every single one. And I just want to say the fact that the Indiana Fever have gone out and got these great players like a Natasha Howard, like a Dewana Bonner, like a Sophie Cunningham, the fact that they've gone out and got these great players shows that they believe Caitlin Clark is great right now. They are on board with the Caitlin Clark vision, and it just makes me happy, because they're not treating Caitlin Clark like a rookie who is going to be good in 10 years. No, they're treating her like a superstar who is good right now.
Sheryl Swoopes really thought she was dropping some major insights on the Gills Arena podcast. She hopped on the mic like she was about to spill top secret info, but all she ended up revealing was just how much her credibility has taken a hit. At this point, are we even shocked? Sheryl's out here throwing out hot takes like it's her side hustle, and if there were a Hall of Fame for terrible opinions, she'd be a first ballot, unanimous pick. Caitlin Clark is changing the game, literally. Her ability to drain deep three-pointers, the kind you usually associate with Steph Curry, has redefined the expectations for women's basketball. It's not just about the range, it's her confidence, flair, and ability to consistently perform at a level we've rarely, if ever, seen before. NBA legends and basketball greats are taking notice, and their reactions are a testament to her talent and impact. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, didn't hold back in his praise. He highlighted how much Caitlin has done for the WNBA and called for better officiating to protect her from unnecessary fouls and hostility. MJ's message was clear: Caitlin is invaluable to the game, and it's time the league treated her accordingly. Steph Curry, often seen as her male counterpart, has been equally impressed. He's pointed out the similarities in their games, not just the lightning-fast release and jaw-dropping range, but also their ability to elevate teammates and put on a show for fans. As Steph said, she's the total package. But Caitlin's rise hasn't come without challenges. From the start, she's faced criticism and even hostility from some WNBA players. NBA legends like Rick Barry and George Gervin have defended her, calling out the jealousy and disrespect. Barry was blunt, saying the hate comes from fear of her undeniable talent. Gervin added that Caitlin's impact goes beyond the court. She's brought private charters, bigger sponsorships, and unprecedented attention to the WNBA. As Barkley put it, you should be thanking that girl. Yet, not everyone is on board. Reggie Miller sees the adversity as part of Caitlin's journey, arguing that every rookie must prove themselves. Kevin Garnett echoed that sentiment, framing the extra defensive attention and hard fouls as a sign of respect. They both believe these challenges will only make her stronger. The controversy around Caitlin reached a new level when she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster. Critics like Paul Pierce argued it was a missed opportunity for the sport, while others, like Dwight Howard, saw it differently. Howard suggested the break might have been a blessing in disguise, giving Caitlin time to recharge and dominate in the second half of the season. Through it all, Caitlin has stayed focused. Her game has grown faster, sharper, and even more electrifying. Legends like Shaquille O'Neal have praised her ability to silence critics with her play. Shaq, in his signature style, summed it up perfectly. If I say you're not gonna hit that shot and you hit it anyway, you're the truth. What's remarkable is how much Caitlin has already done for women's basketball. Magic Johnson, who has an ownership stake in the WNBA, compared her to young stars like Angel Reese, saying players like Caitlin are shaping the league's future. Magic also pointed out that it's not just about Caitlin being the most popular player. It's about her potential to reach the very top, just like he and Larry Bird once did. Even with all the challenges and noise, Caitlin's journey has been nothing short of transformative. She's bringing in fans, raising the league's profile, and proving that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. As Charles Barkley said, the WNBA owes her a lot for what she's done for the game. Caitlin Clark is not just a rising star, she's a trailblazer. Her ability to thrive under pressure, elevate the sport, and handle adversity with grace is why basketball legends, fans, and critics alike are rooting for her. Whether it's breaking records or changing perceptions, Caitlin is building a legacy that will be talked about for years to come.
First person I can honestly say that looks like Steph Curry. Like, she's not guardable right now, and she can hit almost any shot from the outside.
Almost any.
How much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison.
From long-range shots to lasting influence, Caitlin Clark isn't just setting records, she's shattering them. Surpassing even Steph Curry's iconic three-point average, she's reshaping the future of basketball. But what happens when Caitlin Clark crosses paths with Steph Curry's legacy?
Do you think Caitlin Clark could beat Steph Curry in a three-point contest?
That's tough. Shooters can have an off night. You just never know. Caitlin has no conscience where she pulls from.
Steph has no conscience where he pulls from.
Been doing it for a long time, so can never go against Steph. Steph has been doing it for a long time.
Recently, Caitlin Clark has solidified her place in basketball history, and it's not just because of her scoring ability, it's where she scores from. New stats show that Caitlin Clark now holds the record for the longest average three-point range, an incredible 28 feet.
I think the WNBA narrative right now is Caitlin Clark, and I think that's a good narrative, but it's also not the only narrative. Caitlin is an amazing generational talent, and she's going to do amazing things. You're the #1 pick. People are going to go after.
This remarkable accomplishment not only surpasses the previous record held by NBA legend Steph Curry, but it also sets a new, higher standard for shooting excellence in basketball. By pushing the boundaries of what was once thought possible, Caitlin Clark has redefined the range at which players can score, inspiring future generations to aim even further.
Do I need to call you the female version of Steph Curry, or do I need to call Steph Curry the male version of Caitlin Clark?
I think I'll just be the female version of Steph.
At just 22 years old, Clark's achievement is far more than a statistical outlier. It's a reflection of her unmatched skill, court awareness, and unshakable confidence. As the all-time leading scorer in college basketball, regardless of gender, she has already left an indelible mark on the game. With her new record-breaking 28-foot average, Caitlin Clark has not just added a new statistic to her resume, she's fundamentally redefined what it means to be a sharpshooter in the modern era. To put her accomplishment into perspective, Steph Curry, widely considered the greatest shooter in basketball history, boasts a three-point range averaging around 27 feet. At the time, that seemed untouchable. Curry's range revolutionized the game, sparking an era of deep shooting and permanently changing the way basketball is played. But now, Caitlin Clark has pushed that boundary even further, raising the bar to new heights.
I love me some Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball.
However, Clark has taken that revolution even further, stretching the boundaries of possibility with an additional foot of range that makes her a constant threat the moment she crosses half court. This is no accident. Clark's shooting range is the result of years of dedicated training, an innate basketball IQ, and an unwavering competitive spirit. Her shooting form is a perfect balance of precision and power, enabling her to effortlessly launch shots from well beyond the arc. But what truly sets her apart is her fearlessness. Clark isn't afraid to take shots from distances most players wouldn't even think about. Whether it's a contested three in the final seconds of a game or a casual pull-up from 30 feet on the fast break, she makes what seems impossible look completely effortless.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She's a certified bucket. To quote Shaq, I was not familiar with her game. I respect her game. She's a fucking baller. She was pulling up like Steph Curry from deep. But I just got one question. Matt, do you think you can beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one?
Absolutely not. Nobody here can.
I'm busting her ass. You wild. You wild, bro.
This record also speaks volumes about the evolution of women's basketball. Clark's success stands as a powerful testament to how the game has progressed, with athletes consistently pushing the limits of what's possible on the court. Her remarkable shooting range has drawn comparisons to Curry, but it has also established her as a trailblazer in her own right, showing that women's basketball is just as dynamic, innovative, and game-changing as the men's game.
I think Steph Curry made the WNBA watchable.
Caitlin Clark, baby.
The way that Caitlin Clark was playing was a very digestible form of basketball. But now this girl out of nowhere is playing like Steph, and it was still digestible.
Meanwhile, Clark has reached this milestone in an era where defenders are more focused than ever on limiting long-range threats. Opponents specifically game plan to neutralize her, yet she continues to excel, constantly finding ways to create space and sink one clutch shot after another from deep. Her 28-foot average isn't just a number, it's a declaration of dominance. As Caitlin Clark keeps breaking records and exceeding expectations, the basketball world is left to wonder just how much further she can push the boundaries of shooting.
Is there anybody in the NBA under the age of 30 that's a bigger name, bigger jaw, bigger star than Caitlin Clark?
For now, one thing is clear. Clark has not only surpassed Steph Curry's legendary mark, but has firmly established herself as one of the most transformative figures in basketball. Her 28-foot average three-point range is more than just a record, it's the foundation of a legacy in the making. Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining the game of basketball, she's reshaping its entire business model. The sharpshooting sensation, already celebrated for her historic three-point average that outpaces even Curry, is demonstrating that her influence extends far beyond the court.
I mean, honestly, $1,000 for a family of four to go to a WNBA game. That seems wild. It really does. The Clark effect.
Clark now represents an incredible 1/4 of all WNBA merchandise and ticket sales. This remarkable achievement highlights her power to attract fans, drive revenue, and become a true game changer for women's sports. Moreover, in a league that has long battled for visibility and equality, Clark has sparked an unprecedented wave of fan engagement. From jerseys bearing her name to arenas packed with fans chanting in her honor, Clark is more than just a player, she's become a movement.
Caitlin Clark, her style of play it's not just her individually as a person or what skin color she is. I think it's, more so about her style of play, her playing.
According to reports, her merchandise sales alone make up nearly 25% of the WNBA's total revenue in this category, an extraordinary figure that speaks to her unmatched popularity. Whether it's fans buying her iconic number 22 jersey or scooping up exclusive Caitlin Clark-themed collectibles, her appeal is undeniable. The same goes for ticket sales. Clark's games are an event, consistently attracting record-breaking crowds.
The reason why it really, really gets my blood boiling is because it's the exact same thing we see in every other sport. The games where she's not playing have lower viewership.
This has to be a joke. Sue Bird is the last person I'd imagine making these kinds of comments about Caitlin Clark. Seriously, Sue? The epitome of generational talent, someone who's witnessed it all, possesses an in-depth understanding of the game, and navigates the intricate court politics better than anyone else. And now she's behaving this way? Come on!
Some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharp talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
This is getting unbelievable. Sue Bird, the WNBA's very own walking history book, has targeted Caitlin Clark. And trust me, it's igniting a lot of conversations.
And yet, we don't hear anyone on the Celtics and the Mavs. That is not how this works. It's because there's some players that are just so transcendent that the viewership's going to be insane no matter what. Great. And it has nothing to do with the other players,
Seriously, we're talking about Sue Bird here. She's essentially basketball royalty, yet out of nowhere, she launches an attack on Caitlin Clark, the young star who has been driving the league's ticket sales and viewership through the roof. Why? Apparently, it's because ticket prices and TV ratings have dipped since Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, were knocked out of the playoffs. But that's hardly shocking. Clark is a true fan magnet, plain and simple.
And to imply that we should just ignore the impact that Caitlin Clark had and still continues to have on this team, this league, this sport. Nah, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, Sue Bird.
Honestly, just look at the Golden State Valkyries, an expansion team that's already sold out around 18,000 season tickets. Clark doesn't even play for them, yet her influence is undeniable. Still, some people keep twisting the narrative. I've seen Stephen Smith discuss it, I've seen Shannon Sharpe talk about it, and here's what I don't understand. They work for ESPN. Why are they attacking a product that's literally part of their business?
Stephen A. and with Shannon, there's an aspect of them like defending their stances on her. Like, we were right about Caitlin and this is our defense. And I still think there's something twisted there because nobody ever said.
It's not that they can't express their opinions, but Sue didn't just mention it and move on. Oh no, she went all out, even pulling Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe into the fray. And let's be honest, those two are renowned for their brutally honest takes on everything. So, what exactly is Sue Bird upset about? Is it Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe calling it as they see it? It's not even like they're wrong.
I don't know how you explain, like, honestly, look at the Golden State Valkyries. It's an expansion team. They've already sold out, I think it's 18,000 season tickets. Caitlin doesn't play there. And yet some people continue to flip that. Those people, I've seen Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I've seen Shannon Sharpe talk about it. And that's what I just don't understand is they work for ESPN. So why are you hating on a product? It's a business you're in. It's not that they can't.
Let's dive into the entire Bird versus Clark drama for a moment. Could this be stemming from bitterness? Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark skyrocketed to become the face of women's basketball almost overnight. She's drawing massive crowds and achieving viewership numbers like no one else ever has. But then Sue steps in, casting shade on anyone who dares to acknowledge the obvious. The WNBA is struggling to keep pace without Clark on the court.
Sue Bird calls out ESPN host for, quote, hating on WNBA playoff ratings after Caitlin Clark's exit. You say, what? Why? Why, y'all? Really? This is where we have to go?
The WNBA tries to portray its achievements as the product of collective advancement. But let's be honest, is Caitlin Clark truly propelling the league forward? Without her, TV ratings drop, ticket sales plunge, and merchandise revenue disappears. The league should be going above and beyond to keep her satisfied, instead of clinging to outdated pay structures that scream, "We don't truly value you." Fans aren't oblivious to this nonsense. Social media is inundated with demands for change. People are highlighting the absurdity of her salary relative to her impact. It's not just a matter of fairness, it's a business issue. You don't underpay the individual who is vital to your survival. That's not only poor optics, it's poor math. Yet, the WNBA seems too busy celebrating minor growth to realize they're engaging in a risky strategy. If they don't evolve, they risk losing not only Clark, but also the entire momentum she has built. Talented players like her are rare. They're once-in-a-generation athletes who can transform a sport. If the WNBA fails to find a way to compensate her appropriately, don't be shocked if other leagues or opportunities come her way.
The media, all they talk about is Caitlin. Caitlin could throw somebody a bounce pass. oh my God, she threw the, it's all about Caitlyn.
Remember all the girls that were just all talking shit about her from the beginning? This was a tune change because that's how they roll. That's the most, that WNBA is woke as shit. The NBA is woke as shit. And they had to tell her, you better change your thing or we're not going to get behind you 100%. And she did. She bowed down, and that's exactly what happened.
Caitlin Clark was honored as Time's Athlete of the Year, a significant recognition for such a rising talent. However, her achievement has been eclipsed by the uproar over her remarks in the accompanying interview. In the discussion, Clark mentioned, "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is a privilege. And a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them." These comments have ignited passionate debates. Some commend her for bringing attention to racial disparities, a persistent issue in both sports and society. Others have taken issue, alleging that she has succumbed to societal pressures and compromised her true self. As supporters and critics clash over her statements, the pressing question emerges: what does this mean for Caitlin Clark's future and her bond with her fan base? Stay tuned as we examine reactions from influential voices in the media, starting with Candace Owens, who unexpectedly supports Clark while addressing the larger controversy.
She's 22 years old. I don't know a single commentator out there, Megyn Kelly included, who did not at some point throughout their political career have the wrong perspectives. But for whatever reason, we've decided Caitlyn's not allowed that time to grow. She's not allowed time to change. She's got to be a perfect MAGA candidate and I guess stand up to the entire mob. This girl's literally being bullied, physically bullied, I will say, by the way, on the court. And we know the basis of that is quite racist. I think she just wants to survive. I think genuinely Caitlyn just wants to survive.
It's impressive to reflect on the accomplishments Caitlin Clark has achieved at such a young age. Her swift rise to prominence can make her youth easy to overlook, but it's crucial to offer her understanding as she maneuvers through this intense spotlight and becomes entangled in cultural debates. Next, we highlight a statement from David Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports and a prominent social media influencer. Unlike many commentators involved in the Caitlin Clark controversy, Portnoy is a genuine sports enthusiast. He shared his honest opinions in an informal rant posted on his Instagram and Twitter, providing his perspective on both Clark's remarks and the public's reaction to them.
Caitlin Clark's popularity has absolutely nothing to do with the color of her skin. Anybody who has actually watched women's basketball or watched basketball and watched Caitlin knows she plays totally different than any woman before her.
Portnoy disputes the claim that Caitlin Clark's achievements are solely the result of white privilege, highlighting the indisputable truth that her remarkable basketball talent set her apart. Her extraordinary level of play is the genuine reason she is hailed as the leading figure in women's basketball today, potentially the greatest in the sport's entire history. Portnoy also addresses the problem of commentators engaging in the debate without being true basketball enthusiasts. He emphasizes how voices from all sides of the cultural conflict are capitalizing on Caitlin Clark's fame, using her as a symbol for agendas she doesn't actually support. This misrepresentation has caused her words and character to be distorted by those eager to shape the narrative to fit their own perspectives.
All the people who are like co-opting this, who aren't real basketball fans, who aren't real Caitlin Clark fans, are like, oh, she got, the woke mob got to her. She's now saying her success is because of the skin and she has privilege. First of all, she didn't say she had that. She said she earned everything she got. But what do you want Caitlin Clark to do?
Portnoy further elaborates on his viewpoint, indicating that the circumstances surrounding Caitlin Clark's remarks significantly influence her decision to address such issues. He contends that her statements are more of a deliberate tactic to navigate the complexities of her WNBA career rather than a sincere political position. According to Portnoy, Caitlin's main objective is to steer clear of divisive debates, choosing instead to avoid controversy and focus on her performance on the court.
She plays in a league that is predominantly African American, and she wants to maybe show up at work and not have people hate her. She wants the league to be successful. The more successful, more stars, the better it is for her and everybody in the league. This backlash of Caitlyn turned on the league and Caitlyn is woke and Caitlyn is this. You fuckers are crazy. And that's what I hate. This, for Caitlyn, has never been about politics, never been about race.
The controversy surrounding Caitlyn Clark may be increasing her visibility and online presence, but it's evident that she prefers to steer clear of the limelight it brings. Naturally humble, Clark has never sought to become a political icon. Her unwavering dedication has always been to basketball. It's her passion, her strength, and the reason she earned the title of Time's Athlete of the Year. Although the debates and discussions surrounding her have certainly amplified her fame, perhaps it's time to let her shine in her true element, performing basketball at an exceptional level. This sentiment was echoed by the legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick, who encouraged everyone to simply admire greatness when it's right before us, as it is with Caitlyn Clark. With decades of experience in sports, Patrick recognizes how rare and transient moments of brilliance can be. He highlights just how unique and generational Clark's talent is, urging us to appreciate her presence in the game instead of criticizing her.
Can't we just acknowledge Caitlyn Clark changed the WNBA? That's it. It's okay. You want to throw in Angel Reese, you want to throw the memory of Sheryl Miller or Cynthia Cooper. It's a win. We got to... This is a unique moment. Caitlyn Clark did for the WNBA what Wayne Gretzky did for the NHL when he went to the LA Kings.
There's no need to politicize every action a public figure takes. Sometimes, we should pause to appreciate the qualities that made them outstanding from the start. Acknowledging Caitlyn Clark for her exceptional athletic prowess doesn't detract from other athletes. Dan Patrick highlights this idea, encouraging us to honor greatness for what it truly represents.
It's okay. Take a victory lap. You don't have to go, oh my God, these people are mad, or this person's mad, or this group is mad. Caitlyn Clark changed the WNBA. It's okay. It's okay to say that. You're not diminishing what the founding, fathers of the WNBA did. You're not. She's the Time Person of the Year.
In summary, Caitlyn Clark's remarkable achievements at a young age have firmly established her as a standout star in women's basketball, culminating in her recognition as Time's Athlete of the Year. However, her success has not been without controversy, particularly regarding her comments on privilege and race, which have ignited a heated debate among fans and critics alike. David Portnoy has emerged as a key voice in her defense, emphasizing that Clark's extraordinary talent is the true foundation of her acclaim, and criticizing those who exploit her fame for ulterior motives. Meanwhile, legendary sportscaster Dan Patrick echoes the sentiment that Clark should be celebrated for her unparalleled basketball skills, rather than being entangled in political discourse. As the discussions continue, the overarching message remains clear. Caitlyn Clark deserves to be appreciated for her exceptional abilities on the court, allowing her to shine without the burden of unnecessary politicization. Moving forward, it is essential to honor her contributions to the sport and support her journey, recognizing that her brilliance is what truly makes her a deserving Athlete of the Year.
So, the old legacy WNBA media did not think this was possible. They did not think this.
The Indiana Fever continued to make massive moves in free agency, signing Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner. And you guys, I don't even think they're done.
Not everyone in the WNBA is riding high these days. Some players have just struck it rich by joining a team with Caitlyn Clark, leaving the rest of the league watching with envy.
So Caitlyn Clark is now a member of the new Indiana Fever. Remember what they got the big 5. They have 5. The top 24 scorers in the WNBA last.
The Fever have crafted something extraordinary around Clark, blending seasoned veterans with up-and-coming stars who thrive alongside one of the best passers the sport has ever seen. While some doubted Indiana's ability to lure top talent, those skeptics were proven wrong. So why are players gravitating towards Indiana while others are left pondering missed opportunities? Let's dive into the details. This shift is a game changer for the WNBA.
So firstly, you guys, Sophie Cunningham was traded to the Indiana Fever for NaLyssa Smith and a pick. The Indiana Fever also acquired forward Jaylen Brown, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I am not familiar with her game. She is going to be only a second-year WNBA player, so we will have to see how her game translates to the Indiana Fever. But Sophie Cunningham was such a huge...
Caitlin Clark hasn't even played a single WNBA game yet, but she's already reshaping the league's landscape. When the Indiana Fever clinched the draft lottery, it wasn't just about snagging a future superstar, it was about transforming the franchise's entire identity. For years, Indiana was seen as a perennial underdog, struggling to define itself and attract marquee talent. Now, everything has changed, and the rest of the league is feeling the shift. The prevailing narrative was that Indiana couldn't possibly lure key free agents. Critics genuinely believed that seasoned veterans and emerging stars wouldn't be keen on joining forces with Caitlin Clark. They assumed she would falter without a solid supporting cast, citing Indiana's market, its history of losing seasons, and the so-called controversies surrounding Clark as deterrents. But here's the truth. Players are driven by the desire to win. In the competitive world of the WNBA, you recognize opportunity when it knocks. Caitlin Clark isn't just a talented player, she's a generational force who makes life easier for her teammates. She's the kind of athlete who gets everyone involved, elevates good players to greatness, and brings out the best in those around her. That's precisely why Natasha Howard decided to make the move to Indiana.
The news just dropped. DeWanna Bonner has been signed to the Indiana Fever. I'm about to knock my light over, bro.
That's why DeWanna Bonner was linked to the Fever, and why Sophie Cunningham ended up donning their jersey. Now, let's take a closer look at Natasha Howard. She's far from an ordinary free agent acquisition. She's a WNBA champion, a former Defensive Player of the Year, and a proven winner. With plenty of choices on the table, she opted for Indiana. And why wouldn't she? Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is a dream come true. Clark spreads the floor, dishes out open looks, and consistently pushes the pace, while Boston commands attention in the paint as an interior powerhouse. In that dynamic, Howard flourishes. In Indiana, she'll enjoy easier scoring opportunities, more open shots, and the chance to contribute to something truly remarkable. When Howard inked her deal, the reactions were all over the map. Some in the WNBA media, especially those who rarely delve deep into the nuances of the game, acted as if her decision was nothing short of shocking. They clung to the outdated notion of the Fever as the same old underachieving team from a couple of years back. But the truth is, Indiana is no longer that franchise. They've set a clear vision, a star playmaker at the helm, a dominant post presence, and a coaching staff that knows how to build around such talent. It's this vision that's drawing players to Indiana and rendering the old idea that no one would sign there utterly ridiculous. Then there's Sophie Cunningham. The instant she was traded to Indiana, attention turned her way. Cunningham isn't merely a shooter. She's a gritty, high IQ competitor who excels in a system that values ball movement and purposeful play. She doesn't need to hog the ball to make an impact. Instead, she excels in off-ball movement, finding open spaces and delivering those critical extra passes, all essential skills when playing beside Caitlin Clark. And let's not overlook her defensive prowess and tenacious attitude. Cunningham's edge, her disruptive play, and her refusal to back down were exactly what Indiana needed. After all, you don't just want talent, you want mental toughness, battle-tested grit, and a willingness to fight every night. That's what sets this new Fever squad apart. It isn't just a collection of skilled players, it's a perfect fit. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Howard together form a lineup with clear identity, one that's poised to compete and catch the league's attention. The rest of the WNBA is taking notice. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now quietly seething with envy as free agents actively choose Indiana. Those who doubted the impact of Caitlin Clark are starting to see that they miscalculated completely. Clark isn't simply bringing excitement to the court, she's fast-tracking Indiana's transformation into a legitimate contender. Players who once passed on Indiana are now left wondering if they made the wrong choice, because being in Indiana now looks like one of the best opportunities in the league. As the season approaches, the buzz is only intensifying. The WNBA is awakening to a new reality. The Indiana Fever aren't just rebuilding, they're ascending rapidly. And many around the league are starting to feel that intense envy, realizing that the very players who once scoffed at the idea of Indiana might now be regretting their decisions. The Fever have quietly assembled one of the most balanced, well-structured rosters in the league, and it's impossible for other teams not to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you hardly feared, a mere stepping stone on the schedule, but those days are over. The way they've constructed their roster, the chemistry that's already forming, and the strategic additions they've made are forcing both players and executives across the league to sit up and take notice. Some in the media tried to paint Indiana as an undesirable destination, fixating on external factors and ignoring basic basketball logic. What they missed was simple. Players want to win, and they seek out systems that enhance their abilities. That's exactly what Indiana has created. With Caitlin Clark leading the way, Indiana's style is modern, fast-paced, and unselfish. A system designed to make life easier for every scorer, shooter, and post player. Take Natasha Howard's move, for instance. Critics speculated that her decision was driven by factors off the court, but in reality, Howard made it clear. She craves recognition, victory, and a place where she can truly thrive. Indiana delivered on all fronts. The old media narratives couldn't fathom why someone like Howard would choose Indiana, yet any true student of the game understood immediately. Playing alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is an ideal situation for a versatile forward like her. She isn't saddled with carrying the offense or forcing plays. Instead, she gets better looks and greater opportunities than she has in years. And consider DeWanna Bonner, who was heavily linked to the Fever. Initially, skeptics questioned why she'd ever opt for Indiana. But why wouldn't she? Indiana offers a team-first, up-tempo style where veteran scorers can extend their careers while remaining highly productive. With Indiana's system, Bonner wouldn't be overburdened with minutes. She'd be surrounded by youthful energy and allowed to focus on what she does best: scoring and leadership. Instead, Bonner remained in Connecticut, a team that, while still competitive, might lack the vibrant, exciting environment Indiana is building. Because here's the bottom line. Indiana is on track to be one of the most exciting teams both to watch and to play for. With Clark's visionary playmaking, Boston's commanding presence in the paint, Mitchell's scoring prowess, Cunningham's grit, and Howard's versatility, the pieces are finally coming together in a way few teams can match. And now, the WNBA is watching closely. Teams that once dismissed Indiana are now rethinking their stance, while players who previously overlooked the Fever are beginning to reconsider. If Indiana makes a deep playoff run this year, and they just might. Those who passed on them are going to regret missing out. What's most striking about the Fever's roster is how seamlessly everything fits together. It's not just about possessing talent, it's about having the right kind of talent. Caitlin Clark is not a ball-dominant guard who forces poor shots. She's a cerebral playmaker who involves her teammates, ensuring that scorers like Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham get the looks they deserve. Aaliyah Boston isn't just a reliable post presence. She's an elite two-way big who can anchor the defense and dominate on the boards, freeing up her teammates to focus on their roles. Natasha Howard brings veteran savvy and impact on both ends, offering Indiana the switchability and offensive depth they need. When you combine all these elements, you get a team built to win. As the Fever gear up for their inaugural season with Clark at the helm, one question looms large in the WNBA. How soon before other teams try to replicate Indiana's blueprint? Because there's no denying it, the envy is palpable. Players and executives who once wrote off Indiana are now witnessing a transformation in real time. This isn't just about one superstar. It's about a front office that has meticulously constructed a balanced, synergistic roster, forcing everyone to take notice. For years, Indiana was a team you'd barely give a second glance. Today, however, the Fever have redefined themselves through shrewd roster moves, strategic chemistry, and a visionary approach. Some critics in the media clung to outdated perceptions, failing to grasp that players want to win and thrive in systems tailored to their strengths. And with Caitlin Clark steering the ship, Indiana's fast-paced, unselfish style isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. The signing of players like Natasha Howard, along with the buzz surrounding Bonner and Cunningham, signals a new era for the Fever. In a few short months, the Indiana Fever have transformed from an afterthought into one of the league's most coveted destinations. The pieces are finally in place, the chemistry is undeniable, and the envy from across the WNBA is unmistakable. It all comes down to one thing. Caitlin Clark has changed everything. Her arrival has not only elevated the talent on Indiana's roster, but has also created an environment where players genuinely want to be. And as the league watches this transformation unfold, it's becoming increasingly clear that Indiana isn't just back in the game, they're here to change it.